Okay, so here is the Monet / gaffrey water lily painting. Go over our materials. So we have the heavy texture, we have the permanent green, primary yellow, the violet, phthalo blue. So we start this painting putting our base coat down on the panel, about 3/4 of the jar base coat in there. I'm gonna mix my colors here on the palette now. Pretty much gonna be using all colors. We're just gonna start with a basic blue, get our blue foundation ready. A little bit deeper than that. I gotta make sure I get the sides and everything. Most of this will all be covered up with texture. So I'm not really worried much about, how this is all painted on here because we're gonna start blending textures and everything in here. But we do wanna get it completely covered. This is not gonna be an exact Monet replica, but it's inspired by Monet. We're gonna cut the tip smaller. A lot of times I cut bigger, but we're gonna use the bag for part of the process. So I'm gonna only cut the tip at maybe a little more than 1/4 inch. We're gonna use this bag to make lily flowers like this, right out of the bag. But for now, we're gonna make a nice dollop and get our foundation blue ready to go. So we're gonna mix some blue, our phthalo blue in here. And then we'll start blending other colors in this blue. But first, we're just gonna make a nice stripe of blue right across the top. And I'm not pushing hard, I'm kind of dragging, so it just gets this, when you do the dragging across too, it almost looks like water already. You can see that right there. Gotta get it across the top. I'm getting coverage in here. Here you get a nice smooth layer, not too thick. We're gonna put some thicker parts over the top. And so when you think about, towards the horizon, when you look farther away, everything is not as in focus as much. And so that's what's gonna happen here on the top. And then as we get down to the bottom, we'll worry about that when we get there, we'll start getting more in focus. So we'll stop there. And so we're gonna think about all of our colors of things that we've got going on here, and they're just gonna kind of be blurry across the top there. One of the colors we have here is our violet color. So I'm gonna blend a little bit of violet with the blue here. So when I drag it across, it just kind of feels like it blurs into the distance. I'm gonna put some straight white up here as well, so we can have some contrast of color. So we'll probably put a cluster here, and a cluster here, and a cluster here, and maybe a cluster here. So now that we know we're gonna put those clusters, I'm gonna take this violet blue mix, and I'm just dragging it, like I have no weight on this knife hardly, but just a little, and just dragging it across. So that way it doesn't go all the way in, and you still see some blue through it. But if it did go all the way through, I could just grab a little bit more blue. And so this right here is gonna be a cluster. We're gonna put some green in there. And we're gonna put a cluster here. And we're gonna put a cluster here. I'm only gonna work on these clusters first. So we need to make a little bit of green. We're gonna make that over here. And we're gonna mix it with the blue so it blends in really good. But I also want to get a little bit of dark green on the edge here that's not textured. So we're gonna take some of the primary green, some of the blue, and a little bit of the violet and make a really dark green. So we can get some nice contrast. And you can see how this green kind of goes over it by looking at that. So it's a nice deep aqua green. A little bit more of the violet, and it'll darken it in a different way. I'm practicing a little bit on the palette. I'm just gonna drag this through here a little bit. Just drag it across the top. This kind of mimics what we're gonna do there, but we're gonna go heavier there. So we're mimicking that. Let's get a little bit of deep blue in there too. Now let's focus on the green that's gonna go in these sections. But we're gonna just like imagine there's just some textured lily pads in there. Let's get a little more yellow in there to green that up a little bit. What's kind of good about this painting is you get to really play with how colors interact with each other by gliding the knife and just kind of integrating colors. The key is don't go too far, because like if you look at this blue area right here, we don't want to mess with this blue because this is going to be a great contrast against these darks. So don't touch this spot. Keep all of your stuff here, here, and here so that blue will really pop out. And so I'm just kind of making these loose expression or impressionistic lily pads here. And I'm gonna do some right here. And then some right here. And we're gonna be careful to preserve some of this blue because you wanna preserve the contrasts so they pop out. I'm gonna drag some through first. Gonna make a little bit more green. And then pop some in. So they're kind of just like texturized and still a little bit vague of what's going on back there because it's in our distance. We're gonna focus on what's over here and how we see it. I need to get that kind of blended in. I'm kind of happy with this right here. Pretty happy with that. This right here is kind of pissing me off a little bit. I'm gonna just blend that in. So that's nice. And so what I did here is I did pull it out, but still, you gotta preserve some blue because otherwise you're just gonna get all just like this messy look of just continuous of the same colors. I'm pretty happy with this. And we're gonna accent this with like some lily colors of yellow and violet, and white. But I'm gonna wait till I get there because I'm gonna start building here. And when I start building here, I'm gonna pop up back there. I'm gonna make it a little darker as we're coming down here as it's close to us. You kind of see that darkness. So I'm just kind of piling this on right now, kind of loosely, but we're gonna focus on how it really works into the painting once we get it all on there. Let's get some more paint on here. I'm gonna kind of lay on this blue here really heavy, because this is like where it's really close to us and we want to like feel the texture of what's going on. I'm going to lay this blue on, just plop it on there. And before I spread it out, I'm going to figure out where my lily pad quadrants are here. We don't really want to do exactly center, so we can do one here. I'm just going to mark it. We're going to do one here, which is midway. We're gonna do a super big one right here that's gonna lead up into that one. And we're gonna do one on the corner right here. I think that's pretty good for now. We're gonna leave these piles and we're gonna blend them in as we start going with the lily pads. So we're gonna make a bunch of green here for the lily pads. We're gonna use a good chunk of the paint right now. Let's get some green in there. Some yellow, some more violet. All right, let's start. I need to save a little bit of this for blue. So let's start making our green. And then we're gonna make this green into a really dark green that we blend over this green. So we've got pretty much all the colors in there. You can see right there how dark that is. It's very nice because it's a very nice aqua green. What's going to be different about these lily pad areas are they're going to be more, not realistic, but we're going to kind of make individual lily pads, like especially here and here. This one is like a cross between what we're going to do there. So we're going to do these in kind of like chunks. And I think that's good for that area. This one, we'll figure that one out later. We're gonna put flowers and all that stuff in there, so let's focus on these big ones here. So this is where it gets kind of fun, because we're gonna put big, giant lily pads. We're gonna put it in this pile right here. See that nice dollop? We're gonna do a few of those around there. Put one right here. And they're still a bit impressionistic. They're not trying to be perfect rounds or ovals. A little more yellow in there to make that green. And the reason I'm leaving this big old pile here is because we're gonna like just kind of, like when it comes over to here, we're gonna just do it now. Where it just kind of just like blends all in and kind of like leans over the side. And so we're gonna make a lily pad area here on this corner. Just gonna push it there. I know that was fast, so sorry. So there's a nice kind of semi-rounded lily pad. Put one here. You get a little blue down in here right now. Before I start putting the flowers and accent colors, I want to make sure this all balances out really well. I'm going to start to try to not break these apart much, but to kind of integrate them in. Get a little bit of, color in there and white to blend in. You can see everything just starts to really rise as you get here. There's a little area here that needs a little help. Imagine we gotta identify where we're gonna put our main lily flowers. And I think there's three. There's a medium-sized one somewhere in here. There's one like probably right here. And there's one probably like right here. And this is what's cool, where we get to work right out of the bag. We're gonna just put like 3 lily. Two out like that, and one like that. I'm gonna do a smaller one right here, and then one right here. Take a little yellow and take one, and just like hit it with just a hair of yellow. So it has an accent. And again, impressionistic. Violet. Violet. Those look great. And now we finish off some white. So this one got a little covered. I didn't mean it to. When you're looking straight down, you can see inside these, but this one you can't. So I'm just gonna kind of work this one here and put a little violet in there. I like that, okay. So now you imagine we have these here. We have to imagine they're out there, but we're gonna do them really loosely. Put some white here. We're not gonna pipe those in. Get these little bits of violet and white here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna like ping them in and pop them out. So watch this. That was a little big, but it's okay. Not the end of the world. A little yellow in with that one. So this was a little bigger than I wanted, But it's kind of cool because it just feels very expressive. And if I want to get some straight white or more white, let's get some white without color on there. Clean your knife off because we want to have a nice little pop of white on there. And so these ones, as they get farther away, are just like little specks. Little just kind of. You see how I'm just like popping just inner, but don't go too many places because you want your eye to go to these spots. If you do them everywhere, it gets to be too much. Then you just balance it out. I got a little bit more green here. This is gonna get in my way here. I'm just gonna like pull it this way. A few more lily pads on this one. Put some yellow over there. Feel pretty good about those. This area is a little not right here. Get a little blue under there. That's good. A little darker blue, it's almost like a blue shadow. It's nice. So now, if you want to go over the edge, you can start bringing this blue over. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about these up here. You just kind of start looking around and say, what's missing? We're gonna blend this in the bottom in a second, but I'm not feeling great about that spot right there. Pull a little bit of our neutral green blue here. We're just gonna drag that across. That's kind of cool, looks glowing. So you got these purple undertones, green overtones, and then blue undertones, and then darker mixed color undertones. But you still have separations of color that are not all blended. Because if it was all blended, it just wouldn't look right. It looks like chaos. This is a nice pod right here. Let's just add just a little dollop of yellow, just like a little tiny one there. That's good. I think this section right here is interesting. I'm gonna pull some green and drag it. Look at that, it looks like light shimmering in the water. It's really nice. So that one I just pulled in to come off the edge. But I really like how that one came in because it feels like a reflection of the light of this flower into the water here with the green and everything. That was just kind of serendipitous. Here, we just need to make this all work. I'm gonna bring some dark blue to get some deep contrast under this one right here. So this is just pretty much straight phthalo blue. I'm just gonna drag it under there. And see how that gave that contrast under there. And if you can see this here, it just feels a little raw. So I'm just gonna pull a little bit just on that one there. So now I'm going to fill the bottom, a little bit of texture. I kind of like this. I think it's pretty much there. I'm going to do one more pop through here. So I feel like this one here needs just a little bit of contrast and like pull through because it got a little homogenized in like textures. And I'm just going to put a little yellow in there and pull it through. Give it a little bit of glow, a little yellow there. Let's put a little yellow in the water here. Perfect. A little bit of violet in the water there. I think that's it.